Here on MSNBC. A new reaction this afternoon after Secretary of State Hillary Clinton takes the heat for the security decision that failed to prevent the deadly attack at the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya.
I take responsibility. I'm in charge of the State Department, 60,000 plus people all over the world, 275 posts. The president and the vice president certainly wouldn't be knowledgeable about specific decisions that are made by security professionals.
And just moments ago, Republican Senator Kelly Ayotte doubled down on the GOP criticism, their talking point in response to what Secretary Clinton has said.
Certainly laudable that the Secretary of State has come forward like this, but she's clearly trying to be loyal and cover for the president and the vice president.
So let me bring in NBC's chief foreign affairs correspondent, Andrea Mitchell, host, of course, of Andrea Mitchell Report. She's live at the site of tonight's big debate. We know that this is domestic and foreign policy. Libya, it is almost impossible for it not to come up tonight, Andrea. But I've got to talk about the facts here. I mean, Secretary Clinton says the buck stops with her. She is taking the heat, for lack of a better description. Would that be the appropriate chain? Would the White House know this kind of information, or would it be enclosed to the State Department and its officials?
Well, it depends on which information. Clearly, the president's intelligence brief could have and should have told him what the threat levels were in Libya, what the situation politically is in Libya. He gets the president's daily brief, the PDF, that all presidents receive from the intelligence community, and over a course of weeks and months he should have known, and presumably did know, exactly what was happening in Libya when the British ambassador was threatened, what the threat levels were. If you get down to the nitty-gritty, the detail of whether or not a particular security team should have been withdrawn or should have been extended for another couple of months, that's mid-level State Department bureaucracy, and that is what she is saying was her responsibility. It's very clear that on the eve of this debate, Hillary Clinton is trying to take the blame, shoulder the responsibility, and take the heat off of the president. I'm not sure how well that is going to succeed with the people in the audience tonight, because if any of them does ask that question, they're going to want to know exactly what went wrong and what is the president's responsibility. And if they don't ask the question, I think Mitt Romney's going to try to bring it up.
Well, obviously, Andrea, the timing of her statement, I think, is partly why people see it as her taking the heat. But in reality, if she'd made this comment perhaps even last week before this eve of this debate, would it be seen as some kind of strategy? I mean, you have Kelly Ayotte and others saying they're praising her for stepping forward, but again, she is the Secretary of State.
Well, I think you've seen, certainly from the day of the hearing last week, last Tuesday, when the hearing was held, and sort of mid-level and upper-level State Department officials testified and took a lot of heat. Yeah. There was a lot of blame going on, and clearly the White House people in the White House were saying, hey, this is the State Department's responsibility, not us. Then you had the problem that they experienced with Joe Biden saying the other night in the vice presidential debate that we did not know. And they later clarified that to mean we at the White House did not know. The State Department knew. So the vice president sort of throwing the intelligence community and the State Department under the bus, it was time for Secretary of State to come out. And the Hill is going to keep up this attack. As you saw, Kelly Ayotte, Lindsey Graham, and the others, they see a vulnerability. This is a way to try to bring down a notch or two or three President Obama's very high ratings on handling national security.
So Andrea, tonight, if he's asked by one of the people in the town hall, does the buck stop with you, Mr. President, regarding what happened in Libya, despite what Secretary Clinton has said, is there a right or wrong answer, or any answer that he gives will be politicized tonight and tomorrow and beyond, perhaps before the election?
Well, I'm sure that they have thought this through, and presumably, depending on how the question is framed, it's always more appealing, I think, when people are already suspicious and skeptical, and these are undecided voters, we're told by the Gallup organization. It's always better, given the way people think about politicians, to try to take responsibility yourself. Harry Truman was popular for that, and decades and decades later, it stands true.
All right, Andrea Mitchell, great pleasure as always. Enjoy the evening. Can't wait to see what happens in a few hours. Thanks, Andrea.